This is a Gurmukhi mantra, translating to the Creator and creation are one. Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Vaheguru.
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 Vaheguru 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 Sri Vaheguru.
Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Vaheguru.
Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Vaheguru.
Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Vaheguru. Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Vaheguru. Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Vaheguru. Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Vaheguru. Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Vaheguru. Ek Onkar Satnam Sri Vaheguru.
So I invite you now to take a deep breath in, relaxing around that breath, and simply allowing yourself now to fully relax. And with your out breath, let go of the last bit of stress, tension, fear, or worry. Breathing in sweet freedom, the whole Spirit of God. And with the out breath, releasing everything unlike it, everything small and contracted goes, allowing you to fully open. Feel with each breath an expansion of spirit, lifting you, expanding you. And with another deep breath in, draw in divine life into your physical being. Allow that life now to melt away resistance or obstacles to that life in its fullness. Life, invigorating every cell, tissue, organ, body system, bringing divine life with full vitality and power, strength, bringing balance and harmony, divine order to the functioning of our physical being. Feel that life force radiating now. And with another deep breath in, let us draw in divine love into our hearts, the very highest vibration of love in its fullness, melting away any resentments or unforgiveness for self or others in our hearts, allowing our hearts to become an expansion of love, feeling that love filling our torso with warmth, higher vibration of love, and extending beyond our physical being into the space around us, feeling the embrace of divine love around us, healing us, connecting us, extending and expanding our ability for compassion and understanding. And with another deep breath in, let us draw in divine light into our minds, allowing this light to evaporate all negative thinking, divine light to shine, bring to bear all illusions, dispelling them, replacing them with vision of truth. Divine light allows us to see the truth beneath conditions and to orient ourselves to it. Divine light shows us the way through guidance and wisdom, and lights our steps along the path that are ours to take, calling us to a higher vision of who and what we can bring to what we can be in the world. And so with another deep breath in, let us now move into the inner sanctuary of our hearts. And as we now begin to rest there, let us wait, listen to the still small voice for God that speaks in the depths, in our hearts, in the silence, now. Thank you, Blessed Spirit. We do feel your presence deep within us, warming us, drawing us into a quiet space. And in that quiet, knowing that we have received gifts, some we are aware of, in the form of a new idea or vision, perhaps a new insight or understanding, sense of well-being or peace. Whatever we are aware of having received, let us bring those gifts back with us into this time and place, confident that more gifts have been given, such that in the coming hours and days, in times of struggle or challenge, we need remember only to turn inward and tap into that deeper connection, to receive the gift of wisdom and understanding, direction and guidance, that we will know what to do, what to say, what to be in right time, in right ways. So our hearts fill with gratitude for these blessings and all those on their way to us from the heart of God as we say, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.
Gongka Sadhana Sirivahe Guru.
So today we begin a new series, and the series is called the 12 Powers series. This is a series of understandings that you hear me speak about each week, one aspect or another of the Christ consciousness, of divinity in us, of the ways in which we are connected to something greater, and that something greater is actually in us. Last week I talked a lot about that part of us that is pure and whole and perfect, that is put into the heart of each and every one of us in important ways. And as we do, we recognize that nothing that happens to us can detract from that. Nothing that happens to us can erode that or chip away at it, even though our humanity may suffer or feel losses from it. It is really not the truth of us. The truth of us is already whole and perfect, and nothing can be added to it. We talk a lot about growing and evolving and becoming more spiritually elevated or spiritually expressed. And when I'm talking about that, I'm really talking about the human part of us expressing more of that divinity, expressing more of that perfection that's inside of us. And we call that Christ consciousness. It is the part of us that actually connects us to Jesus. Jesus was the perfect expression of that. We call him Jesus Christ. He was a living embodiment of that beauty, of that wholeness expressed. And that's why we study the life and teachings that Jesus has left behind. Everything is true about the part of us that is whole and perfect in its fullest expression, that we are unveiling that as we move along in that expression. There are parts of that, aspects of that we call our spiritual powers. And our co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, outlined and delineated some of those powers. And the power of 12 is a spiritual number. It is the number that symbolizes completion. It's a wholeness. It's the fullest vibration and the fullest expression of that. And so as we consider that, what is practical for us is to look at how is it that we can be the best people we know how to be in any given moment. How can we unfold our love in more powerful ways? And so it seemed right for me to start in this understanding of the 12 powers by taking a look at how Paul talks about the gifts of the Spirit. Because how we were meant to live and fully express our divinity is not a new idea. It is something that has been coming into fruition in many ways in different theologies. In 1 Corinthians 13, Paul speaks of it this way. He says, when I was a child, I spoke like a child. I thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. When I became an adult, I put an end to childish ways. For now we see in a mirror, dimly, but then we will see face to face. Now I know only in part. Then I will know fully, even as I have been fully known. a beautiful touchstone for us to recognize that in our evolution, that we are constantly ever becoming capable of growing and allowing more of the expression of that, of our love really to come into being. We are evolving our understanding and expression. And Paul follows that description of that evolutionary process, of our learning process, of our maturing process. He follows it with this line. And now faith, hope, and love abide. These three. And the greatest of these is love. Love is the power beneath all other spiritual power. It is the bedrock of all powers. It is, in fact, the gateway, I would say, to all powers. In other words, the same way in which we choose to love, in the same way in which we open ourselves to love, in the same way that we let down our defenses, that we open ourselves to receive or to embrace or to accept or to lower our resistance to the things that happen or to people in our lives, the ways in which we embrace is an act of love, and it's a dynamic that love opens the door for us, and through that, all other powers are expressed. We can't really interact from an authentic place in us until we have become defenseless. And love is what helps us to let go of the fear, to let go of the resistance, the closing. Love is all about flow, all about opening, all about allowing ourselves to become more and more available from the inside out to the world. Now that might sound scary. It might make you want to withdraw. There are things and people and events that we don't want to be open to, things that we don't want in our lives. I understand that. Please don't confuse that with good boundaries. Don't confuse that with doormat life. I don't mean for you to think that love means that any old body can just come in and snuggle up next to you and live in your house and be wherever you are because you love now. I'm saying no. What you want to do is know who you really are, what you stand for, and in the space that surrounds you, you get to control, you get to decide, you get to choose who can be in your space. While you also choose on the other side of those boundaries, healthy boundaries that move depending on who people are and what things occur. That's a healthy flexibility. But beyond that, even if you wouldn't have somebody in your house, even if you really can't be around that person because they're harmful or because they don't know how to behave around other people, that doesn't mean you can't love them right where they are, over there, somewhere else. You can still love them. And I know we're giggling because that sounds like that's an easier thing to do. Well, it is easier. But it also calls us up higher. Because what it does, when I say love, what I mean is see the goodness in. See the possibility for goodness. See the potential. See the commonality. Find how would you have to feel to act like they do. That will be your key to understanding who they are and what they need from you. How would you have to feel? What would you have to think and believe about yourself and the world to act like they do? And put yourself there, and instantly you will feel compassion. That is love in action. A capacity to understand. A capacity to believe that what is in you wanting to be expressed is in them as well, even if they never live up to it, even if you never see it. It isn't up to you. It is up to them and their soul's life here on this planet. Love is the power beneath and through all powers. The giving of gifts of the Spirit is itself the activity of love. Paul talks about that in 1 Corinthians as well. Now there are varieties of gifts, but the same Spirit. And there are varieties of services, but the same Lord. And there are varieties of activities, but the same God who activates all of them in everyone. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. Now, this evolving of spirit, of spiritual gifts, depending on what tradition you may have come out of, if you've had some experience with a variety of things that are thought of as spiritual gifts. In New Age communities, sometimes it's psychic and healing abilities. It's abilities to as people become more devoted to spiritual growth and to their lives, they start to be able to see things that they weren't able to see before, and perhaps commune with people who've passed. They can put hands on healing. In certain spiritual communities, in more fundamental communities, there are speaking in tongues. There are all kinds of casting out demons. There's a real sense of some authority, some spiritual authority that starts to come into play. What I want you to understand is that no matter where you are on that spectrum, whether you've ever had that experience, whether you've never had that experience, no matter how much you may judge people who profess to have those experiences, I want you to hear that it is not unusual for us to become more sensitized, because we are one, we are connected, and as we are connected, gifts and things become more revealed. We've also seen how some people have misused them, and used them in powerful ways, in ways to dominate or to have authority over others or manipulate other people. We've seen all kinds of ways people have misused power of all kinds. We don't want to be that. That's not a spiritual expression. So how do we know when we are coming into a greater capacity for understanding what is happening in another's life? What is our responsibility, as well as what is our authority? Where is our power? And it's right here in this last phrase. To each is given the manifestation of the Spirit for the common good. Always ask yourself, for what purpose would I speak? For what purpose would I act? What am I trying to do here? Am I trying to show off, or to put somebody on the spot? Am I trying to call somebody in, chastise them for not being spiritual enough or loving enough, just because I can see what's causing their pain right now, perhaps, because I've been there myself? Always the reference point, how can I serve this Spirit? What would I want to hear if I were in their shoes right then? The capacity for empathy becomes a greater and greater responsibility as we grow spiritually. This is part of the deal. It gets more and more nuanced. You're not going to find it written anywhere at some points. At some points, it's going to be something that you're being guided individually on a case-by-case basis. But always your reference point needs to be, sincerely, how can I serve? What can I do for higher purpose? How can I make someone's life better here? What good would this be for me to speak or act now? If I don't know, I don't. I hold back. I wait. Primary impulse inside of us to heal, to magnetize, unite, connect, is all motivated by the power of love. Love is always there trying to help us know how it is that we can use this great flow through us in positive ways. Dr. Martin Shaw says, when the lots are counted, we will find that it was love that mattered. Love expressed, love given, love received, love fought for. Whatever it is that we have to extend in ourselves to open to greater love, it is worth it. It is a part of the path we walk. Susan Vreeland, author, says, no matter where life takes you, the place that you stand at any given moment is holy ground. Love hard, love wide, love long, and you will find the goodness in it. Love will allow you to see the good where you did not see it before. Because when you love, you have moved from the place of quid pro quo, of 3D world, of give and take, of all of the ways in which we navigate in the world. You have lifted out of that, and you see from a higher place. With eyes of love, you suddenly see yourself reflected in another form, there but for the grace of God. If that had happened to me, what had happened to them, I don't even know how I might be today. I don't even know if I'd be as good as the person I fear now. Could I even have done that? Love enables us to see good and better and find the place where healing can happen. Because why? We are all in need of healing. We are all in need of greater love. We are all seeking it at some point, even as we are greater and greater channels for it. We're talking about impersonal love. And again, I want to pull you back from knowing that love is a choice you make every day to live in a state of love, not to be directing it to this one and that one over there, but not those, and this one over here, like a laser beam of just connecting, because that's not love, that's ego stuff. That's not the love I'm talking about. Love is an openness, it is a state of mind. It is always opening us to a state of love by choice. This is our choice. Henri Nouwen, Catholic priest and theologian, says, in a world so torn apart by rivalry, anger, and hatred, we have the privileged vocation to be living signs of a love that can bridge all divisions and heal all wounds. We are that when we choose to love. And you're hearing that and you're maybe thinking, great souls maybe, people out on the world stage perhaps. Perhaps there's people who are drawn to doing that. I've got enough to do just getting by. I've just got enough with all the responsibilities I already carry. And I'm going to tell you that it isn't what you do. It is the love you do it with, whatever it is you do. That the smallest gesture, that the opening of the heart, that the relaxing of the threshold of allowing yourself to accept, to wander in, to open to greater peace, to speak the word of comfort, the healing, the empathy that your heart's drawn into when you hear stories that touch you, that hurt, that are sad, that draw grief from you. Whatever it is that allows you to be authentically who you are is changing the world. It is changing lives. Every time you let your defenses down and you tell the truth and you're open and you allow yourself to walk the walk out loud, unkempt, ungraceful, but authentic, you are revealing something that everyone else is protecting themselves from and giving them permission to feel it, to be it, and to radiate a little more of the light that is already there. Rhoda Blecker says, Keith wore jeans and t-shirts every day to work as a pool man when we were in Los Angeles, and also during retirement once we moved to Bellingham, Washington. So the collection of t-shirts my husband left behind after he died was extensive. Everywhere we traveled had produced more of them, and there were a multitude of shirts from the Grand Canyon, our favorite vacation spot. When I finally got around to looking through his dresser, I found two types of t-shirts, those that didn't have holes and those that looked like imitations of Swiss cheese. Keith had been raised by his father in a tiny apartment where there had never been enough money. Keith always said he had poor boy syndrome. He couldn't bear to throw away anything because he might need it again someday. I moved his intact t-shirts to my own drawer. I didn't want to wear the holy ones, but I wasn't willing to throw them out either. They were so much a part of my memories of him. Then Keith's granddaughter took up quilting. When she and her mom asked for scraps of material, I gave them the t-shirts with the holes. A year later, a package from them arrived. It contained a quilt made of the t-shirts, most from the Grand Canyon. The letter said everyone in the family had participated in the project, so that when I wrapped myself in the Keith quilt, I would be wrapping myself in their love as well. When Keith wore those t-shirts, he wasn't thinking of it as a legacy. He wasn't aware of anything other than whatever tasks were at hand, whatever things that he had his focus on, his worries, his fears, the people he loved, the things that meant the most to him, his priorities. He had no idea that a story would be read about him today. And look at all of the people who've been affected by his life, and we have never known him. Can you not see the importance of every act you make, of every word you speak, of every place you go, of every life you touch, in ways you know and ways you'll never know? This is incumbent upon spiritual beings to be authentic and to be conscious of the choice to lower the threshold, to expand, to extend, to love, to tell the truth, to be in authentic connection, to decide a state of love surrounds you. It is not personal, yet it is very intimate. It changes lives. It connects us all. Brian Doyle says, "I was just thinking that everything that ever happened to me abideth in me somewhere, most of the time misfiled and misplaced in the most careless fashion. I mean, who was in charge of organization here, a newborn chipmunk or what? But inchoate and incoherent as it is in my memory, every wild, savory, painful, epic moment, it's all here in me somewhere." For instance, here comes my daughter sliding out of the sea of her mother, followed seemingly only moments later by her twin brothers doing the same. Here's my grandmother, shrinking noticeably every day until she is a small, dry stick, and then a song we sing in Gaelic every year to remember her by. Here is my oldest brother, a mountain of a man, and here he is during his last summer, half of what he was, but still grinning and making wry remarks as his voice failed. And then the rest of him followed. Here's my mother riffling my crew-cut head, and 50 years later, here I am, rubbing her shoulders, which are sore after a long day on the walker. Here are all my sins, squirming and sneering, though I've tried mightily to forget them and be shriven of them. Everything that ever happened to you is inside of you, and a scent or a snippet of song or a voice in the distance or a sudden sparrow unlocks the door. And there you are, age 5 or 50, weeping and giggling, inundated by miracles, admitting you've been a fool, delighted that sometimes you weren't. We forget nothing. We just forget the compartment number and the lock combination. Isn't it all miraculous in some way? We are wonderfully and fearfully made. We are made as perfect channels of love. Love. We don't have to be perfect to love. The expression of love itself perfects us. It infills whatever it is we say, what we do, how we do it, with a power unseen, unregistered, unimaginable. Everything we are, in every moment that we are it, touches, teaches, reaches, heals, connects. This is who and what we are. How we stand up for it, how we open to it, how conscious we become is our spiritual mastery. Wendell Berry, environmentalist and author, says, "I believe that the world was created and approved by love, that it subsists, coheres, and endures by love, and that insofar as it is redeemable, it can be redeemed only by love." And now faith, hope, and love abide. And the greatest of these is love. May you choose it as often, as wildly, as perfectly, and imperfectly as you can. God bless you all.